Welcome to another episode of the Black Tower Podcast, a Wheel of Time podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Andrew. I am allegedly the Bajan Mahel, but you can't prove it in court.
Allegedly. I am Josh, your Sorovan Mahale, the Mahale of the Storms.
And I am Daniel, your Amin Khan Mahale. You can prove that in court. I'm very proud of it. I'll admit it to you.
I love it. I love it.
Fair enough.
It's good. It's a good night. It's a good night.
It generally is.
As tonight's gonna be a good night.
So, as you're listening to this, we are, 3 weeks? Yes. If you're listening to this live, helps if I look at the right month. Yes, if you're listening to this live on YouTube on the 8th of April, that's 2022.
Live on YouTube.
I mean, what you know what I mean. Shut up.
I do.
I think of every time I put them out there publicly as them going live, but they're not actually live. I know what I meant you said. Anyway,
yes.
if you're watching this on YouTube on the 8th of April, we are only 2 weeks away from JordanCon. We hope to see you there. We're looking forward to being there. It's going to be a ton of fun.
We got it going on in JordanCon.
They were doing some ticket swaps as of the point you're listening to this publicly. That is now over. That had to be done by the 31st of March. So if you missed out on that or couldn't find one, we're sorry. But WatCon's coming up in July. So you can try to hang out and meet up with everybody at WatCon in July. And you can always take and follow JordanCon on their social medias to get all the alerts when tickets become available for 2023. Yeah. I felt like I was going in a direction there, and then my brain was just like, yeah, we're going to forget the directions.
Well, to be fair, one of those directions can be if anyone's listening live and they're not going ahead and going to JordanCon yet, we have 3 tickets that we're not going to need. So we're probably going to put them up on the JordanCon website to swap out. So take a look over there. Probably tomorrow.
Oh, is that how they're doing it?
Actually,
yeah, you can post on. There's apparently an exchange, Facebook exchange. I'm gonna put the link in the live chat right now.
Oh, okay.
We are still going, by the way.
Yes, we are still.
Oh,
going.
yeah. Sorry. There's a reason that we don't need our tickets. We will still be there.
Looking for a badge or someone to take yours? There's a face group. A group for your faces.
There'll be a group of faces for that.
And yes, the Grey Aja is once again correct in her astute assessment. So
yeah, we got lucky this year. So that's pretty dope. But yeah, so if anybody listening live right now, then you already know
all the shenanigans I've pulled, so they let us in.
Well, they figured that you paid enough by traveling, a fictional airline. That if I just had to make up a name for it, something like Spirit Airlines, you paid enough.
Seems like a good hypothetical.
Yeah. But if you're listening live right now here in the here in Patreon chat and you want to go, but you missed out on getting a ticket or something like that, go ahead and let us know, and we will go ahead and get started getting that switched over to you. Because again, the deadline is the 31st of March. So if you or someone you love, or someone you
love would like a JordanCon pass,
I don't know. Yeah.
If you or someone
let us know
has been diagnosed,
we'll probably
with mesothelioma, you could be
we'll probably post
it.
Yeah, we'll probably post it tomorrow in the Facebook group or whatever the case is. And by we, I mean probably pawn it off on Josh because it's Facebook.
It is Facebook.
Truth.
But
I
anyway,
do the book of faces.
For other things that you can get from the Black Tower that is not our now extra tickets for JordanCon, head on over to blacktowerpod.com. It's where you can find all the merchy stuff. You can find the Patreon. You can find the Discord. You can find episodes, and you can find a link to our fantastic sponsor, the Crystal Barista, your one-stop shop for all things rock, mineral, gem, GEM, not JIM. I mean, maybe there's a gym in the process somewhere, but
There's a Jim who
I don't
loves
know.
gems who goes to the gym somewhere.
Well, maybe Jim hunting for gems is his gym.
Or that's his jam. Jim's
I never
jam
made-
is gem hunting in the gym.
I've never made jam from ammonites. I feel like it's going to taste bad.
Jim's jam is gem hunting while eating jam on toast.
I'm just
Intriguing.
gonna let this one go.
One could even say it was his job. Jim's jam is his
No.
job. Well,
No.
gem hunting for
No.
No? You don't want to see how far we can go with this?
No.
I'm just wondering what decision I made in life led me to exactly this point.
When you go to blacktowerpod.com, you will notice in the top dead center merch shop. We have two merch shops. We have Spreadshirt is one, and it's got a lot of really cool things on there. And then we also have a truly amazing merch shop in New Creations by Jen. Now, you should definitely go to New Creations by Jen and get our merch because it's awesome. And you've got to wear it at JordanCon and come up and show us that you're wearing our merch and get some swag, because that's how this works. But if you decide that you like other oh, shit.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh,
Dirtbeard. Sir, I come to you. Yes, I'm sure they have that size at New Creations by Jen.
If Jabba the Hutt size is 4XL, then yes.
God damn. Okay, I'm going to get through this. I promise. The New Creations by Jen actually does a number of merch sites for a number of content creators, Wheel of Time content creators. And it's not only just clothes, but it's also cups. She's got the Frosty Mug collection there. They do the Frosty mugs. We also do, we've got a couple of shot glasses there. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun. So
Happening.
go to New Creations by Jen. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. Crystal
Yes,
Barista.
Two Rivers Sniper.
That's one of ours. Take the shot. Take the shot. And you can become a
Legolas!
Two Rivers. And you become a Two Rivers Sniper by attending the Althor School of Archery. Another shirt that we have.
Wait, is that
Or
what
last
that's a
week.
reference to?
go look at that video.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Huh.
I
What a
figured you were
coincidence.
just referencing something else.
All connected. It's all
But
connected.
speaking of the things
It's like a
that are
circle.
not coinkydinks, I didn't really have a good segue there. I don't know where that was going, but to make sure-
Andrew, this is what we pay you for. What the fuck was that segue?
I get paid.
You guys are getting paid.
Ah. To make sure everybody is safe and protected as we move into what you might actually be here for, the Wheel of Time topic discussion. Here
that's
is
right.
yours, Erler Wernen.
Welcome to the Black Tower, a Wheel of Time podcast.
Maybe.
All right, let's check here.
Sometimes.
Okay. This podcast episode will be spoiling books 1 through, I mean, let's be honest here. Whatever Josh lets slip. So how about you pull that spoiler condom all the way on? Anyway, quit your whining. The last book came out in 2012. He was actually a ghost, and Rosebud was the name of his sled for creator's sake.
I forgot to change my output device
Sled!
in voice mod again, so I had no idea if it was actually playing or not.
You good?
So
It was.
I'm professional, guys. I've done this for 4 years and never make a mistake
You
anymore.
guys like that high quality studio quality we got going on, and you keep coming back.
What we do. But
Wait,
Daniel,
if that spoiler condom is Oscar worthy, does that mean I can just slap more shots?
You could just slap it on.
Just right across the face.
So
it's cold-blooded, man. It's cold-blooded.
That's
Hey,
wheel of time. Wheel of time.
It's okay.
My facts out your fucking mouth.
Okay. I mean, if you slap more shotty, he's just going to wake up in the morning with fresh prints.
Oh no! No!
But anyway, what's our topic there, Daniel?
Wait, is that the next merch thing that we need? Is keep my Aes Sedai's name out your
out your flaming mouth.
out your
goat kissing mouth.
I love it.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, that's going up. That's
great.
That's
All
the
right.
thing. That's
I
happening.
like it. All right, guys. What are we actually talking about? Because we're not talking about the Oscars. We're not talking about any of that. In fact, the Oscars
We're
are
not even talking about Aes Sedai.
well known for this shit. Everybody in the world knows what the Oscars are, unfortunately, and a lot of them found out about, I don't know where I'm going with this. Andrew, what is happening tonight?
All right.
Anyway, we are talking about the Aes Sedai's tails side of the coin. The White Tower is the head. This is the tails side. They're basically the same thing, but they're very, very much different. Okay, Josh has some shit to say in a minute. I'm just gonna tell you what it is. We're talking about.
We're 2 minutes into the explanation of the topic, and I'm pretty sure Josh is already borderline aneurysm.
Right?
I don't like the comparison there. Sorry.
All right. We're talking about the kin.
Yes, it's the kin. The not so Aes Sedai.
Yeah. We're not talking about like Alabama style kin.
Yes.
No, not that kin.
Yeah.
We're talking about
So let's be honest. Some of them would probably be down.
That's right.
No,
The kin are women who can channel, who are not bound by the oaths, because this gets a little funky right now, because most of them or all of them are either escapees from the tower, or they were put out from the White Tower after they tested and failed, or some such thing.
Therefore, having never been raised to Aes Sedai, they were never forced to swear oaths on the oath run.
Yeah, some of them are just people that they ran so far away, but they couldn't quite get away.
All night and day, in fact.
I couldn't get away.
They are women who can channel. They are a group of women who kind of banded together to be like, let's stay off the Aes Sedai's radar. Let's disappear into the night. Let's live our lives without Aes Sedai checking up on us, because a lot of them have some pretty what's the right word for? A lot of them are pretty like off put by the Aes Sedai. They left a bad taste in their mouth.
Jaded.
They're very jaded. Thank you. They have a very jaded outlook of Aes Sedai, and I can't say I blame them.
Actually, that's not even totally true. Greyaja brings up a good point. I
did say a lot of them.
I don't think that's true. I think that a lot of them actually have a reverence for the Aes Sedai. They just don't want to be dragged back to the tower or, brought back into the fold of the Aes Sedai or anything, because either, as stated, they are runaways because they were like, this shit is too hard and I can't go through it and I'm done and I need to be out. Or they never actually passed their Aes Sedai test.
Right.
At which point they actually, a number of them definitely, as stated, want desperately to be Aes Sedai. They want actually to be part of the tower, but they just have reasons that they can't.
Sure. 100%. And that, I suppose, maybe, maybe I'm just wrong. Okay. I don't really have anything to back it up. No, I actually, I love when the kin and Elaine are like talking with each other, and the kin actually represents part of our conversation with the Oath Rod a couple weeks back. So if you've not seen that episode, you need to go back and watch that episode and then come back. But
or you can watch it after.
Or you can watch it after. That's cool too. But it's fun because the Aes Sedai are like, oh yeah, we know about the kin. There's like, what, 20 of them? And the kin is like, at first they're like mortified. They're mortified. They're like, oh, they know about us. Oh God. And then the Aes Sedai are like, there's like, what, like 20 of them? And then the kin go, cool. Guess you don't know everything.
Try multiplying that by roughly 90.
Right. Hundreds of women rotating their time. And this is the other brilliance of the kin. Like, they realize that, they're like, what, a couple hundred years old. They've had the slowing, right? And I love when the Aes Sedai are like, so who are you? What's your name? And they're like, oh, this is my name. And they're like, that's impossible. That person was put out of the tower 200 years ago. And they're like, bitch, I'm standing right here. and that's what leads to the
yes, I remember. I was there.
I remember that day. Don't recite the deep magic to me. I was there when it was written. But no, it was just kind of an interesting thing. The kin had such a good organization. That they
1,000 years
flew
ago.
under the radar. They flew largely under the radar for a very long time. Up until Elaine kind of blew the lid off the whole thing.
Well, I think initially, like, what the tower knew about them, but it was like a 13th depository style secret.
Yeah.
That, essentially the Amerlin knew, the Keeper knew, and there were probably, I think there were some sitters that knew, if not all the sitters, but by and large, the tower didn't know, because even the tower for the past, a couple hundred or a couple thousand years realized essentially what Egwene realizes and puts in place, as we're coming up to the last battle, that no, we want everybody that can, every woman that can channel to be tied to the tower in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, none of this calling our own numbers. Yes.
Egwene single-handedly proved how useful it is. She literally repelled did as best as she could as a solo person and did remarkably well repelling a Shan-Chan attack, being essentially, as far as tower training is concerned, only trained up through the accepted level. But obviously having skills and learning stuff that is definitely into the realm of Aes Sedai, being barely able to channel and linking with novices who have little to no training and repelling an attack. So this is one of the things that the White Tower did that I actually kind of like, that they're like, look, we'll kind of like subtly kind of like feed you information, and like kind of when we kick somebody out, we'll kind of push them in the right direction, and then you can evaluate them and see if they're going to be able to pull the standards and all that other bullshit, which actually isn't bullshit, because they're really smart about the way they go about it,
right?
Because their whole philosophy on bringing new people in is they have to know that the person they're bringing in is guaranteed to accept it. Like, they would rather miss out on a few members than risk, people finding out about their existence. Because as far as the kin knows, the White Tower doesn't know.
Right.
But the White Tower being the White Tower is like, feeding them kind of hints and information through the eyes and ears and that kind of stuff.
Now, and there was something I thought I heard about it, is that the kin from time to time would turn runaways back and send them back to the tower just to kind of, am I misremembering that?
I think
am I mandalaing myself?
No, I mean, I think they would, as long as the runaway didn't know about the kin yet. If they was just thought it was like, just a nice lady telling them. But yeah, Morshadi pointed out that generally what they would do is, if the runaway wouldn't go back, or they just had the runaway, they would move the runaway somewhere and keep them separate from the rest of the organization until they were confident that the Aes Sedai weren't actually looking for them. But yeah, Morshadi just pulled out the quote. Thanks.
Yes.
So they had women that stayed in Tarvalon that they rotated out, here and there too, called guides. They'd be the ones that, they were basically spotters, forward observers that would look for, the girls or the women that were put out of the tower, or maybe even ran away from the tower, and would kind of like watch and evaluate and kind of maybe guide them in a space where there was more of the kin around. And then they could assess and be like, okay, can we bring this person into the fold or not? So, I mean, they basically made
reward level here.
Yeah. I would not want to do the risk assessment for all this shit. Fuck that. But it's interesting because, like, you have all of these people that go to the White Tower. They find out they can channel. They're like, okay, then they start kind of like Egwene does, and they're like, okay, cool. I'm going to get to be an Aes Sedai. Like, this is really cool, and this is everything they're going for. And then one day they're just hit with the harsh reality. Sorry, you're just not strong enough. You will not pass the test.
There are 3 of them in some ways. There are 3 harsh realities that you can be told in the tower, which are, you're not strong enough. We won't actually accept you as one of our number, which means that you can stay in the tower forever as either a novice or an accepted, but you're never getting high enough to actually be an Aes Sedai, if that. This training is just too much for you. And if we keep doing it, we're going to kill you. So we need to stop it for your own safety. Therefore, this is as far as you go. And the last one, which is, our training is strenuous and you can't take it. We're not going to tell you that, but you know it to be true. So you need to get the fuck out of here right now because you can't handle this shit.
Right. It's interesting as well because you've got, and I think this is something that Egwene sees pretty quickly. I think even Elaine sees it pretty quickly as they have a run-in with someone. Nynaeve is shielded by one of the kin members, and she tries to break out of the shield. She's like, "Bish, you can't channel hardly nothing. I can channel mass amounts of power." And then she tries to break out of the shield, and she can't. And the girl just sitting across the room is like, "Yeah, I can hold one of the Forsaken. Shields are my abilities." And this is like,
that's my talent.
That's my talent. And I love this scene for 2 reasons. One, because like I said,
also Egwene isn't there. It's just Elaine and Nynaeve.
No, you're right.
But yes, you're correct.
I said Egwene, then I went back to Elaine because it was, But anyway, yes, thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
But I love this part because you get Nynaeve. First of all, it introduces a group of people who can channel, who embrace and explore their talents. Where else do we see that? At the tower, the Black Tower.
Las Vegas?
Correct. That's right.
Oh.
And Las Vegas.
Viva Black Tower.
What happens at the Black Tower stays at the Black Tower. Except crabs. That shit'll follow you.
Same as Vegas.
But when when they start realizing that A, these women are older, B, these women have amazing talents because they're able to freely explore Saidar. I mean, I say freely because they're not allowed at all to channel in the city. But when they're out on the farms, out away from society, because they've got this really brilliant rotational mechanism in place to keep them low profile. They're able to do some channeling, have a little bit of fun with it, explore it. And I really love the aspect of a group of people who can channel, who kind of embrace that. Because of the White Tower, you get a lot of restrictions, a lot of rules, a lot of you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And in a lot of ways, it kind of hinders them. We talked about the Green Aja, the Battle Aja, and how they're really kind of unable to practice or perform their art. What if they had a kin style setting and they were able to discover and explore talents that they may have? I mean, how much would we have Death Gates at the last battle without the help of Lews Therin if they were allowed to do that, if they were allowed to explore or be like that? And so you get the kin who embrace these talents, they explore Saidar, and they do it in a really smart way. And then you've got the White Tower comes in and says, wow, yeah, we need to get a handle on this again. Well, Egwene, the little tower, they say, we need to get a handle on this again. This needs
Saladar.
to be a thing. This needs to be a thing now.
So the kin is restrictive in their own right. And
very much.
There might be situations and ways where you just wind up kind of naturally exploring a talent or something that you might have, but per the kin's rules, you're not allowed to try to get stronger because they have seven primary rules. There's more rules than that, but basically everyone's subject to the rules. They obey any order of the eldest and of the knitting circle, which is like their governing body. Eldest is just going to be, except, effective. Same goes for, obviously you got to keep the secret, first rule about the kinswomen. You don't talk about the kinswomen kind of thing. Forbidden to claim to be
why this episode will be struck from the records.
Yeah.
By the White Tower.
Yeah.
The Grey Aja sitter is going to run back and be like, they're talking about the kin.
Yeah. They couldn't claim to be Aes Sedai, but in addition, they also couldn't do anything under any circumstance that would portray them to be Aes Sedai. They're forbidden to attempt to learn more of the one power or to increase their strength, skills, and abilities beyond whatever level they were when they left the White Tower. They can't use the one power outside of carefully defined circumstances or at great need. And forbidden for anyone except the knitting circle or those named by the knitting circle to recruit other women put out of the tower or who had run away. There's more rules than that. They also they don't allow marriage. Relationships with men are forbidden while in training. Impatience and hot-headedness are punishable. And it's forbidden to speak of returning to the tower or to speak of recruiting girls who could be taught to channel. That was the other thing. They're not allowed to pull in people that could be taught to channel but haven't gone to the tower yet.
That's right.
Other wilders, if you will.
Yeah. But they also they changed the power hierarchy because the kin does not operate based off of strength and the power. It operates purely off of seniority. Mm-hmm. So the oldest member of the kin, whatever number of those are going to be the number that are amongst the eldest, and probably a fair number of those will be who makes up the knitting circle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Well,
and again, it's a very brilliant sort of system, right? They take a couple years, they rotate out away from the city, then someone else comes in, they spend there a couple years, because I imagine over the course of 100 years, they kind of get wise to the fact that, hey, someone's gonna wonder why I'm not aging. Someone's gonna wonder why I'm not dead and I'm at the ripe old age of like 130. Maybe I should leave for a bit and come back when nobody knows who I am and pretend like I'm 60.
I'm going to go, and when everyone I know is dead, then I can come back. Dude, that is absolutely
like that kid's
vampire.
book, All My Friends Are Dead.
Well, it's vampire rules. I
Or
mean,
Highlander rules.
Highlander rules as well. Sure. It's immortal rules. I know that the kin aren't immortals, but they are long enough in the lifespan to have to follow the immortal rules, at least to a certain extent, for a number of times, a number of rotations of the wheel.
Yeah. And it was the 13 oldest or eldest, the oldest members residing in Ebudar would make up the knitting circle. And then the oldest of that group would be the eldest. So you'd have 13 people that are like, okay, you're the governing body. And, maybe the 3 or 4 oldest are the eldest. So they're kind of like the de facto point-to-point leaders within the governing body. So,
yep. And then, of course, there was a particularly special position given to the oldest person who was in Ebodar at the time, which, when we come into the story, is
Rian.
Thank you.
Corley. I'm just calling our last name Corley. Yeah, I can say Corley.
Rihanna Corley.
Rian Corley.
And I think she's actually the eldest in all of the entirety of the kin. She just happens to also be in Ebudar when the Wonder Twins, Nynaeve and Elaine, discover them. She happens to be rotated into Ebudar and be the eldest of all of the kin, period, and also the eldest in Ebudar.
She actually, she's actually a fun one too, because she misses the Seanchan attack.
Correct.
She's like, I'm going to go out to the kin farm to check on things. And while she's away, the Seanchan come into Ebudar and they're like, oh, this is ours now. And she goes, oh, shit.
Well, because at the point we meet her in the story, she's 411 years old.
Like 100 years older.
Coming to my 411th birthday.
She's like 100 years older than Cadswain at this point. Like,
yeah, because she's been out of the tower since like 614 NE, because she was a novice the same time that Cirilla began, who eventually became Amberlin Seat. They were novices at the same time in the tower. And she spent 11 years as a novice before. It wasn't that she didn't have the strength. She couldn't get over her feel for this. So like she went through the accepted test, came out panicked, and the tower was like, okay, yeah, you're not going to be able to do this.
You're done.
And that's kind of an interesting thing is, why did the practice of putting a sister out of the tower and being done with them ever happen? Because I don't want to downplay someone's mental or emotional health. Okay, I don't, because obviously that's super, super important. It's something that we here at the Black Tower care deeply about. But if someone is having trouble passing because they're having trouble with, steadfastness, tenacity, courage, those kinds of things, it seems to me that you would be better suited, especially in a situation where you've got such a long lifeline, such a long time to be alive. It seems to me that if you have that much time, you can keep these people in and say, okay, let's work on some specialized training with you. Let's take your weaknesses and make them strengths. This is how, the amazing people of the world operate when they do amazing things. It's because they worked hard to do them. They practiced. They overcame weaknesses. They did the hard things every single day to become better. So it seems to me like this practice of saying to someone, oh, you failed, bye-bye, you're gone. And I know it was more than that, but you'll never progress beyond this point. You're just too sucky.
Well, you know why she
bye-bye.
failed, right? You know why she failed, right? She didn't fill out her resiliency form and turn it back into the first sergeant. So
I'm so mad at you right now.
You gotta go.
I hate you so much right now.
Yeah. It's either that or she was too honest on her resiliency form, and they were like, "Yeah, nope."
Well, so this goes back to another discussion that we've had before, and I think that we can kind of go back and forth forever because, again, this is just a principles difference or a morality difference or whatever. Because, again, one of the things that I will always say is that personally, and from an organizational standpoint, I think that the Aes Sedai are doing it badly. I agree with that part. I will, however, also say that if you are putting together an organization and you have certain red lines that you are drawing because you think those red lines are important for your organization, then having someone not pass that red line or go over that red line, depending on which one is the problem, you need to stick to those red lines if that's what you're doing. And so again, my personal feeling is that the Aes Sedai have too many red lines and that they have a problem in their organization of overly reducing their numbers and things like that because their standards are nearly impossibly high in some ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do respect the Aes Sedai in a lot of ways for actually following through with those red lines. They have things that they say, you must do this to be an Aes Sedai. You must not do this to be an Aes Sedai. And so anytime that someone actually does or does not fulfill those incredibly high standards, they say, I'm sorry, you're done. And again, you only get one chance to pass certain things. That's a red line. You only get one chance to do certain things. That's a red line. And again, this is a principles and morality issue of how much do you lose out on by actually having those stupid high standards or by actually following through on them when people don't make them or whatever. But in the end, I think that the Aes Sedai are doing exactly what they want to be doing as an organization. It just means that they're missing out on some people and they kind of don't care.
And I think this is actually kind of a beautiful moment where Robert Jordan shows us his understanding of a powerful organization, how they run. I love what you're saying about red lines because it's absolutely true. And even to this day, if you want to be a Navy SEAL or an Army Ranger or a combat controller in the Air Force, you've got to pass the test. Plain and simple. I know a guy, Gilbert, fantastic guy. He was an amazing dude, super cool guy to be around. And he was in the most amazing physical shape I've ever seen anybody in my life. He left our shop to go train with pararescue. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a PJ. And he was training with them and doing well, and things were great. And his knee blew out in training. Okay. It was an injury.
Yeah.
It's totally understandable.
Mm-hmm.
People get injured all the time.
Yep.
He failed. They kicked him out of the course. Why?
Yep.
Because we need the best of the best.
Yep.
I'm sorry, your physical limitations do matter. And if you're injured doing a run, a run with a backpack on, we can't have you getting injured behind enemy lines. That just can't happen.
Correct.
The cool thing, the really interesting thing about this is that there's not a problem with this until you say, this is the red line. Here it is, and here it will stay. Doesn't matter what happens in the future. This is always, 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 always going to be the standard, period, end of story.
Well, and I do want to reiterate, this is one of the reasons that I am personally against how the Aes Sedai do it, is because they have the traditions to the max, the rules to the max of not seeming to actually reevaluate those standards, not actually seeming to change things.
Right.
And they do seem to be an organization that just adds rules over and over and over again without ever really removing ones that no longer serve them.
Yes.
And so you're in a
Doesn't
situation.
sound familiar at all.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
No. But again, and that's again why I personally think that the Aes Sedai are doing it wrong. And I think that, both of my co-hosts here are also on board with that particular thing. I can't specifically speak for them, but at the same time, I think they do. But at the same time, I do also respect organizations
Sure.
for
Absolutely.
having those things. I just respect you way more and think you're doing it correctly if you also change those on occasion.
You don't get me wrong, there has to be a standard. I mean, you can't just, and there's a lot of talk with this nowadays of, how heavily do you enforce the standard? That's a different conversation, in my opinion. There is a standard, there must be a standard. You must meet the standard if you want to be in the club.
Yep.
That's just how it is. The problem becomes is when there's stagnation. And that's what we've talked about numerous times on this podcast. The problem with the White Tower is that they remain stagnant in too many things, and it limits them. And we actually see this with the kin. The kin have some extremely restrictive rules on using the one power, on living their day-to-day lives. You're not allowed to get married. You're not allowed to talk about certain things. Like, that's a very restrictive way to live. But through all those restrictions, they're able to explore Saidar and talents that they have. And, the woman who has a talent for shielding people, tell me she hasn't practiced that. Tell me she hasn't practiced that. Like, she has. She had a knack for it and was like, hey, can I try something out? And that on the farm, which is away from the city, which is away from most people, that they're out there exploring things with Saidar. Now, they're not, channeling through the Choden call and pulling attention of everybody within, 100 miles of them because they can feel their presence. They're not playing with Tirangrial. They're not playing with Sangreal or Angreal, but they're playing with Saidar. And they're playing with Saidar without anybody telling them, you can't do that. I think you can't do that.
I think one of my favorite things is that a lot of them were put out of the tower because of their strength in channeling. Is actually, I don't know about that. A number of them were put out of the tower because of their strength in channeling. And I think it's humorous that they could run around, on a farm and be like, I'm not even strong enough for anybody even remotely near here to sense my channeling. I'm just going to fucking do it. Andrew, and what do you think about all this?
What was the question?
Yeah. What are your thoughts about all of the shit that we've just said? Because I feel like we have not really given you an opportunity to wax poetic here.
I mean, I don't really know, like, how much I can say that would really be any different than what's been said. I mean,
that's
it's like the kin is the light version free trial app of the White Tower that works better than the final product. It just lacks the attention and power.
Shame.
I mean, it is because
no, it is.
You're not wrong.
This is an example of a group of people that obviously share a common struggle or a common cause, or at least a common interest in the fact that they have been to the tower, they have wanted to be Aes Sedai, and for one reason or another, whether it was their skill or their will, were turned away. Or, in the relatively rare case, in comparison to the rest of the members of the kin, ran away from the tower.
Yep.
And they've created a home for themselves that winds up ultimately it comes in clutch for the forces of the light. And with them kind of more out in the open and the Aes Sedai more Aes Sedai learning about them and kind of becoming a bit public, they set things up to really create like a really potentially beautiful kind of relationship in between the kin and Andor and the White Tower. You know, where those that wish to be retested because of their strength or whatever the case have that opportunity to do so, or at least that's what Egwene wants. You know, it's unknown, obviously, if Cadsuane holds to that or not. I think she would. And then those that don't, they kind of, and then those that don't, they kind of stick with Elise, who takes up a less informal leadership role with the group that takes up essentially a permanent home in Camelin and provides healing and traveling for the citizens of Camelin. So I don't know. I like the way they do business.
Camelin gets the best shit at the end of this. Like, seriously, the Black Tower's nearby.
You know, minus being sacked and half raised by Trollocs.
I said post last battle.
Oh. Fair enough.
I really love where you're going with that. And I want to just kind of throw out in the chat that the kin almost have an anime protagonist level of motivation in some ways, because a lot of them, though they're not allowed to talk about it, a lot of them harbor hopes of one day returning to the White Tower.
We don't.
Have you seen Chivalry of a Failed Knight?
And I have not.
It reminds me a lot of that. Because you have a protagonist so you have all these people that go out and they train to be these fighters or for, I can't remember the reason, but like they have all these skills and these like special abilities and that kind of stuff. And he's like super, super skilled with the abilities he has. But like in terms of power and the way they measure everybody, he fails every time. Like he fails all of their tests because he's just really skilled instead of being like really powerful. And basically it comes down to this thing where like he has to make it into like this big like intercollegiate kind of competition and win in order to be allowed to graduate finally along with all of his peers. But it's a pretty good one. I'd watch it. There's only like 1 or 2 episodes you probably don't want to watch with like your parents around or something, but that's just because anime be anime.
Yeah, true.
And that's kind of it, but it brings up an interesting point, because again, and that was kind of the point I was making earlier. You know, they say, "Oh, you failed the test." Well, now you come back 100 years later and you pass the test with flying colors. How many opportunities has the White Tower? And in the story, you know, they want us to think that the White Tower just turns them out because they didn't cut muster, and okay, cool. But most, if not all, of those women went to the kin. So is it the will of the pattern? Is the kin a product of the pattern stating, no, you're going to need these women. You're going to need these women. You can't just excuse them and say bye-bye and be done with them. You know, the arrogance, as it were. And Egwene's like, no. We need every woman we can get. Why don't we recruit? And the White Tower's like, oh, because, we don't. The kin doesn't actively recruit.
Say something that might get me in trouble here.
I mean, they do actively recruit, but a lot is like, fuck the kin, and the rest of the kin are like, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch.
They actively collect women who were put out of the tower. They do not actively recruit. But the reason they actively collect women is to basically keep themselves off the radar and keep those women out of trouble and keep them from hurting themselves. It's actually a very benevolent cause.
So that's actually what I was about to say, is that I'm going to say something that might get me in trouble just a little bit.
Okay, here we go.
When do we not? I said we, not you. We.
We.
No.
The royal we.
We three.
Oh, shit.
I legit thought my internet just broke. Maybe his did.
I thought mine broke. It's Daniel. Daniel broke. It's
Screen crap.
Yeah, screen cap. The first one was him being like this.
My internet's connection sucks.
It was great.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was a great picture.
Right? So I actually think that in this story, things like Taviran and things like, this, that, and the other thing, and the pattern actually get a little bit too much credit, because anytime something goes particularly well for the forces of the light, people go, oh, that must be the pattern doing great things. And you're like, is it though? Because people are actually kind of dope, like with some regularity. Like, not always. There are also shitty people out there, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But, like, there are dope.
Oh, happened again.
We lost him again. This one's not as good, though. What was that, Daniel? Oh, you don't say.
Fucker.
He didn't say.
Oh, this is weird. It's rare that Daniel's the one with technical difficulties.
Right?
Hey, there
it's
he goes.
usually me.
Oh, the fuck.
Okay,
Oh,
welcome
never
back.
mind.
Daniel, did
Maybe.
someone turn on your microwave? Go check the microwave.
It's always the microwave.
It's the fucking microwave. Oh, I love it. You know what? I gotta agree with him though, is that people are actually good. Like, people are super awesome. People are amazing. There are some bad apples, but
That in the book
shouldn't. Yeah, well, I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about in life, in the books.
Oh,
Yes.
I 100%
All of
disagree.
the above.
100% disagree with the notion that people are naturally good.
I didn't say they're naturally good. I said
Okay,
people are generally good.
Most
Most of the people,
good.
most people you will meet are good people. They go to work, they go home, they want happiness for their friends and family. They're good people. Most people operate under this umbrella of a moral code of conduct. There are very few people who are just assholes. It's the 1% rule, right? 1% of the people will fuck it up for the rest of us.
I'm of the opinion that, to what you said, that most people you meet will play the part out of necessity of the good person because of social convictions and restrictions and repercussions from society. But I don't think that people are inherently evil. I just think people are inherently greedy. Everything you do in life is driven by desire. Like, everything from as simple as like deciding you want to go lay down in bed. You do it because you want to. The only reason you don't go into the Apple store and just snatch the new iPhone 13 or whatever is because you don't want to be in prison more than you want the iPhone 13. And social pressure tells you that you're not allowed to do that for their repercussions.
So while I will say that I do agree with you to a certain extent about that, I am definitely personally one of the people who would not. And I think that both of the people that I am actively engaged in conversation with at the moment are also not. Now, again, that does not mean that your point is invalid. It's not. I think that you definitely have hit on a annoyingly large number of the population.
Yeah, and again, that is
the majority.
It is a generalization of humanity. So there
Correct.
obviously are exceptions.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm saying I don't think your point is wrong, even though I definitely know that not everyone is like that, as evidenced by, these three human beings.
That doesn't mean that if you come up to me and say, "Hey, how you're going?" and we talking, I'm immediately sitting there thinking, like, "What do you want?" I generally don't think about it. So,
sure.
Well, and I think there are three kinds of people in this world when it comes down to it.
People who are good at math and people who aren't.
Exactly what I was going to say. No, I feel like there are people who are benevolent. They're inherently good. They go, I'm not going to steal that thing because it's wrong. No other reason. I'm not afraid of jail. I'm not afraid of it. I'm just not going to do it because it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are people who, like Andrew had pointed out so beautifully, they really are. They're like, I would, but I don't want to deal with the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be arrested. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose my whatever it is that they don't want to lose.
Yep.
And they ultimately have a selfish outlook on that because they say, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be, inconvenienced in my life.
With jail.
Then you've got the third, with jail, exactly. And then you got the third kind of person who is, I don't give a fuck. I'll do whatever I can. I'll do whatever I want.
Right to jail.
That'd have to be like a whole, other discussion. Because there's
absolutely.
I gave the very convinced down version, like the concentrated Kool-Aid of my thoughts on the nature of humanity. And this isn't like Andrew over the past 2 years. This is like Andrew's for at least the last 11 years. There's a lot more to it and a lot more subtlety that goes into it. And a lot of, I'm actually terrified by how much stuff I can point to that adds credence, I feel, to the theory. But I mean, I don't think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's, to me, it's an unfortunate reality. Just like wanting very much to be an Aes Sedai and not being able to get over some kind of either mental or emotional hiccup, or just the harsh reality of you just weren't born with enough access to the power to reach the strength required, because there are several that make it to the Aes Sedai testing and fail, or either just, can't fail for one reason or another, power, or, the what might seem more likely, but probably isn't any more likely. The whole, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that's all I was trying to say with what I was saying earlier. If you've got a long timeline, if you've got 100 years of life that you can utilize to train someone, that's a very long time. You think about it, Marine basic training is 3 months. And, for all the shit I like to talk about Marines, it's pumping out some of the best war fighters in the world right now. And it's a 3-month basic training. That's 3 months to lay the foundation work for a 20-year career, 20 years of essentially, combat if they have their way. But when you've got 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 70 years to train someone, to teach someone, to give someone the tools they need to succeed. And after, because most people spend a couple of decades as accepted before they're even allowed to attempt the test for the shawl. If you can't train someone to become an Aes Sedai in a couple of decades, you failed from a training perspective. Sorry, that I will die on this hill. If
not in the military, training never failed. Though you failed. But whenever you pass and you succeed, training succeeded. Training. It wasn't you; it was the training.
It was the training. It was
so that's actually an interesting thing
that
I will throw out there is that, again, Josh, I very much respect what you're saying. I do. Please do not ever hear that I don't. But as we all know, there are certain people who are never going to be capable of certain things,
100%.
regardless
Agreed.
of the best training that they could possibly have. Now, again, I'm not going to argue about how long that is, because obviously it's going to be different for everybody. If you pass them on to the right person, they might actually get it in another 5 years or another 10 years or another whatever. That's fine. I mean, all of that is accurate, but I will say that at some point there does need to be a limit.
Sure. No, I agree 100%. And I don't, and we see this, and Andrew, you can attest to this. I'm sure you've seen it during your career in the Air Force. There are times when people just don't get it. And no matter what you do, they don't get it, and they never will.
Mm-hmm.
And you can try talking to them. You can try all kinds of different communication.
Example. Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. You can try, consequences.
Some people are
you can
never
try rewards.
Gonna understand calculus.
There are things that just will not happen. And I don't want my statement to come off as, the white tire failed because they can't train everybody to do everything. That's not my point. My point is, generally speaking, when you've got someone who can't do something, you find a good leadership, good training will find ways to cater that to that person, so that even if they are not able to perform task A, they are able to understand why they are unable to perform task A, but they are also able to perform task B, C, D, E, and F with extreme efficiency. And you should, as a person who is running a training program, who wants to be marginally successful. Oh my God, the sunlight just hit me right. Everything's blowing up on me. If you want to be marginally successful in that, you understand what you need from that interaction, what your trainee needs from that training, and you make sure that they have that. So that even if they're never able to perform task A, you've got someone who is a competent participant in the other tasks that need to be performed. Because let's be honest, Aes Sedai don't just need to be competent at task A. They need to be competent in task A through Z. And, therein lies the issue. Like, where, is one of your red lines, you can't do it. So therefore you can't do one out of the 120 tasks. Therefore you're gone. And the kin is like, okay, we get it. You were sent out because you can't do it. That's cool. Hang out with us. You can play with Sidar all you want on the farm. And what happens in a lot of those cases is that those people who are unable to perform task A under the training in the White Tower were able to find other ways of performing task A on the farm with the kin, because they were left to their. And so I'm not saying it's a 100% fix all rule, but I am saying that when you're given people the freedom, your success rate will be much higher in the end with the same level of efficiency. And I think this is the lesson that the kin gives to Egwene and Elaine, and the lesson that they learn pretty quickly, because let's be honest, Egwene and Elaine, as much as I like to talk shit about Elaine, she's super smart. She is a ridiculously smart person. Egwene, also a ridiculously smart person.
So I want to draw a parallel to the real world here for just a moment. Because again, I actually completely agree with you. And the thing that they figure out in the end of the story, which I think is something that they were doing to a much lesser and less official extent during the story, is that they go, cool, You need to be able to perform every single of these 120 tasks without fail flawlessly. And if you can't do that, you don't get to be an Aes Sedai. But you do get to be part of the kin where you can figure out the 87 tasks that you do well, really fucking well. And we're even going to help you do that. But this is actually one of the reasons that we're actually having such a problem in this country with police, for example.
Oh, here we go.
Because the Aes Sedai are the police force in the United States, where we ask them to do way too fucking much, don't actually train them quite well enough to do all of those things, and allow people who are not actually good at every single one of 120 different tasks to be a part of it and ask them to do those tasks that they're not good at, even though we regularly know that they're not good at that task. Now, again, I think that you're completely right, Josh, that is a failure of institution more often than a failure of individual.
Sure.
However, I do think that if you allow people to be Aes Sedai when they're not good at all of those tasks, you start having a police force problem.
Sure.
And that's a big problem. You undermine the confidence that people have in the organization. You actually have problems that are caused by people who can't perform up to the level that you need them to, and a lot of other things that are a problem in the organization. That, again, I'm not saying that all the police are bad. I'm not saying that the police are run like the Aes Sedai. I'm not saying any of this.
Right.
I'm just saying that it's a comparable organization in some ways of when you start to allow people to stay that can't do certain things. I know that you don't have 150 years to go ahead and have them get good, which you do for the Aes Sedai, but you do start to have real issues in certain areas. And again, you create other problems by not actually having the White Tower be up to its, possible strength, and, lose out on certain talents and lose out on certain things. But you don't have a lot of other problems that are caused by not having those red lines or having them be soft or having whatever you want to call it. And again, I'm not saying that the police in the United States are the enemy. I'm not saying that the Aes Sedai are perfect and that's how we should run our police. I'm not saying that the police are always good. I'm not saying any of that. It's extremely nuanced.
Well, it's an interesting point, though.
Well,
it's an interesting point that you make.
Kind of similar.
It's an interesting point that you make because, and I'm throwing shade here. Okay, so 100% I'm throwing shade. All the Aes Sedai were deemed good at 120 tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Black Aja exists.
How
many dark friends are in the kin?
I
don't know that there were any. I don't know that that's confirmed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that does not feel confirmed at all.
But I would be willing to venture a guess that there were significantly fewer dark friends among the kin.
To be fair, though, Josh, if you are going to put all of your eggs into a basket because you actually really do have a certain number of resources, which organization are you going after? The White Tower or the kin?
I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I get it. Grey Aja is she's like, yeah, but the kin sucks.
Whoa, that's not what she said. I like when Andrew talks. I want to hear Andrew's thoughts. and then we're probably.
Do you know what I love? I
episode.
love when you and I get into it, and Andrew has the look of a disappointed father at Thanksgiving.
Oh no, I'm just that's my default face. I'm just listening.
I know it is, but I love it because Andrew's over here like, these two fucking failures at 35. They're still living in my house.
Failure.
Fail is yours.
No, but I think it is a good comparison, and there are obvious and glaring distinct differences in between things like any police force, because there are sections of police forces around the world that you can point to that would be examples of how they do things better than ours does, and there's a fucking abundant amount of ones that are like way fucking worse. But
Truth.
But yeah, there are differences, and it's the important differences that nobody wants to talk about. And it's nice that some people are still having the discussion. It's disappointing. So many people just want to yell, shout, and scream at each other rather than I don't know, actually try to fix a fucking problem.
Weird.
Because
You're
over the years,
wrong,
yeah. One of the things that the White Tower did well is they did division of labor very well. Correct. You have the Ajas that all have their purposes. That is what they go for. If you're like, okay, we got a male Chandler we need to go and get. The Reds are a pain in the ass, but we're going to take them. We're going to take the Green Aja because allegedly they're good at battle.
Right.
And, we'll
allegedly.
take, either they know combat first aid or we'll take, a yellow sister or two with us for first aid. And you pull people to go and address a situation, and you're pulling from sections that specialize in those things. And that's where the big difference is with policing, is because over the past several decades, the police force just became a catch-all for all things problem. And
correct.
It simply doesn't work. You can't take a single entity and expect them to handle all of 5,000 different issues. And of the 5,000, even half, just let's say 2,500 issues require very different approaches and nuances. You can't expect somebody to be able to come in and have the mental fortitude and the confidence and the situational control to dominate a dangerous situation. And they're perfectly great at that. And they're perfectly great at marksmanship. And they're perfectly great at knowing the laws and doing all this. And then be surprised whenever they maybe fall off on some avenues with negotiation tactics, with de-escalation to an extent. And that's, again, it's going to be nuanced. They might be really good at de-escalating whenever, soccer mom is angry because she got busted running a stop sign talking on her phone versus, PTSD vet having a full-on I'm back in Iraq kind of episode. So
Rambo Part 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, those are the kind of conversations that people need to have.
Correct. But and how all this, ties back to the kin is
not to get too socio-political. Yeah.
No. It actually fits perfectly, because how you get back to the kin on this is that the kin operated within the White Tower, and they understand the need for a very high standard of behavior. And they tell people straight up, you will behave or you will be put out into the world, and all hope of anything you ever wanted is gone. Like, period, end of story. You're done. And so,
which of course is ironic, but at the same time,
but the kin, I feel like the kin in some ways, please don't be upset with me, any Aes Sedai who are listening, but in some ways, I feel like the kin does a better job with managing and training their recruits than the White Tower does, as evidenced by there it is right there. I got the dirty look from the sitter in the gray Aja. I'm pretty sure she's the head of the gray Aja. I think she's trying to hide that fact, though.
So, okay, Josh, I agree, but I want to clarify something there, and tell me if I'm wrong here, and for speaking for you and anything like that. But I think more of what the kin do well is having more realistic standards that aren't based on anything but your behavior.
Yes.
And that's actually a big part of it, is that the White Tower has behavior requirements. I'm not saying that they don't, but they do also have a number of requirements on things that you have to do that have nothing to do with choices that you actually get to make, and everything to do with things you were born with, or, you know, this, that, or the other thing. And
Sure.
that is where they lose a number of members,
I think,
to those things that people have less to no control over, rather than the kin who say, hey, follow the rules and you'll be fine.
right.
And people go, I can do that. I'm physically and mentally capable of following the rules.
Yes. I think the big difference is at the White Tower, and in my experience as a member of the Air Force, you had training with a purpose. So therefore, you needed to reach this goal. Period. End of story. And we are going to put together we're going to put together a PowerPoint, and that's going to get everybody to this goal. And if someone doesn't get to that goal after they view this PowerPoint, and I'm triggering Andrew right now, I know I am.
Oh God!
But if you don't get
fuck your PowerPoint and the thumb drive it wrote it on.
one of the comments I used to make, one of the snarky comments I used to make, was when they would talk about literally anything. You know, there's a safety brief on a PowerPoint. There's a, sexual harassment on a PowerPoint. And, my biggest joke was always, I was going to do that thing, but last week we saw a PowerPoint on it.
Right.
And now I'm not going to do the thing. And so there's a very institutionalized methodology of training at the White Tower. The kin has a very what's the big Montessori schooling. That's the big buzzword in schooling in elementary and junior high. It's a Montessori school. We subscribe to the Montessori brand of education. And so the kin is more, Montessori, more free flowing. So long as you don't get us caught, so long as you don't get married and don't talk about the White Tower and don't talk about channeling.
Doesn't actually sound like most school districts right now.
You're cool. You can do whatever you want. Just don't get us in trouble. You get us in trouble, you're fucking done. If you even look like you're going to get us in trouble, you're done. So as a result, the kin is like, cool. So I can practice shielding people over here? Yeah, just do it out at the farm. Don't get us in fucking trouble. Cool.
I mean, comparing the White Tower and the kin seems a bit like comparing prison rehab versus AA. You got one that's just there, has a very purpose-driven thing. You come in, you do this purpose, you serve your time, you follow the rules, and at the end of it, you might get what you want. Most likely not, but you might. And the other that is very community-driven, that is, hey, we're here to help you. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's figure out what's going on. Here's the rules to getting back into society, and we're going to help you with that and get you into a position where you're safe. And there's two very different approaches that have, obviously varying degrees of success depending on the individual. But
I think
that's what it feels like to me.
I really like that comparison in a lot of ways, because again, one of the reasons that forced rehab versus AA the forced rehab has a much lower rate of success is those two things. Number one, it is voluntary. AA is voluntary versus you have to go to this.
Not always.
No, that's the point.
There's court ordered AA.
Court ordered, but that's the point he's getting to.
But
you've got a voluntary rehabilitation versus
punitive rehabilitation like prison and corrective rehabilitation like AA.
Yes. And
Right.
again, I think that the other one that you hit on that is one of the biggest differences is that community. Because again, in the White Tower, you have people who know each other, and you do have Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene, who are all very good friends and actually really help each other through the training and things like that. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm
Sure.
not saying that that's, but at the same time, again, there are huge divisions within the tower, and there are people who don't even fucking want to help you at all. And they're just like, I hope you get put out of the tower, motherfucker. Like that shit.
Prison gangs.
Right?
Yes.
And again, I'm not saying that AA and the kin can't be cliquey. I mean, that's human beings. That is human nature. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but it definitely
Apparently.
has more of a community feel. It definitely has more of a we're here to help attitude about the whole thing, rather than a, all right, listen here, motherfucker. You're going to go to your lessons. And then after your lessons, you're going to watch fucking pots. And then after your pots, you're going to go to more fucking lessons. And if you don't learn this by the end of next week, we're going to beat the shit out of you. And you're like,
and kick your ass out.
Now
And
that
again,
sounds like the
I'm not
military I'm used to.
I'm not saying that can't be effective for certain
Institutionalized training.
And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that can't be good at communicating certain things to certain people and all of that. But there really is just a huge difference between that kind of institutionalized stuff and the community driven, hey, we want you to be here. We want you to stay. What can we do to help you get to where you need to be? What can we do? And, oh, you fell off the wagon? We're actually really, really sorry to hear that. You do get demoted back down to, you get your chip taken away, or, you can't claim 9 years of sobriety or anything anymore, but we're here to get you back to 9 years. We're not here to tell you how much you fucked up and kick you out. We're here to get you back to 9 years. And so again, I really think that is not a bad comparison.
When you fall off that horse, you get right back up and you eat that horse.
Wait a second.
That's exactly what the kin does. They eat the horse. Well, you know what, guys?
The military is definitely that way. They're like, hey, here's your 14-hour duty day. You get no breaks. You should have been an adult and brought your food with you. And we're going to give you exactly 8 hours of off time. That starts as soon as we say you're free to go. Doesn't matter if you've turned in your shit yet or not.
That's true. That's true.
So go get your 8 hours of sleep, and you have a PT test in a month that we're going to give you no time to go and work out and prepare for it. Because you need to find you need to sacrifice.
You should be doing that on your own time. You should be doing that on your own time.
Oh, and if you don't have volunteer stuff on your EPR, you're a trash service member. So
that's right.
You can't sleep and eat and work out in the 8 hours that you provide. Get the fuck out of here.
So final thoughts on the kin. I really do think that they are a mechanism of the pattern to sort of safety net scoop up all of that talent for the last 200 to 300 to 400 years that the White Tower is gonna need at the last battle. At Tarman Gaidan, the pattern says, okay, White Tower, you kind of suck right now. You're sending away a lot of really awesome people. I'm gonna kind of help make a place for them to hang out. They're very smart.
Too much credit, you motherfucker.
I do. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
Yeah, but sometimes people weave as the pattern wills, dickhead.
I mean, but the people themselves. And as I was getting to, if you just be patient,
yeah,
the people themselves actually have a very smart way of managing and running themselves to make sure that the Aes Sedai don't come in and break them up and be crazy. It's a great organization. It's a great. We didn't even really get to talk about, because we got distracted. We didn't really even get to talk about the impact they have on the books. I mean, they're present and actively participating in the Bowl of the Winds. They're present and actively participating in numerous battles at Tarman Gaidan. They are so amazing as an organization. And there are those who are allowed to retest. And Egwene is even like, I like the kin so much that this should be the White Tower retirement program.
I like the cut of these kin's jibs.
So the kin, as far as I'm concerned, they are on par with.
I know you'd like a nice 401k, but how about more rules?
I feel like it's just a great
place. Best I can do is more rules.
I mean, obviously, there's going to have to be some evolution. If the kin is unwilling to evolve their rules, then they're going to fall. Eventually, they will fall in the same trap as the White Tower did, because the kin is 400 approximately years old. The White Tower is 3,000 years old. So there's a difference. They're not the same. But in 400 years, the kin has managed to do a number of things that the White Tower never managed to do. So it's a good place to be. So that's
amazing what you can do if you're not bogged down in tradition.
Weird, right? And that was a big thing with Bruce Lee. He talked about being bogged down in tradition is just limiting yourself. It's just finding creative ways of limiting yourself.
Yep. No, I agree with a lot of what you said. I agree with a lot of, I think that the kin, I like the kin and I like their place in the story. What?
Oh, I just said, excuse you.
Oh, it was my phone. It started.
Likely a story. Yeah, I figured.
I'm getting a call from Scam Likely. So nice of them to go ahead and
they
check
call
in
you
on
too?
me every goddamn day.
Scam Likely calls me all the time.
Yeah, no, Mr. Likely is so nice. Yeah, so all right, so here's the thing. I'm gonna be nice to the Aes Sedai for once. And it hurts me to do so, but I'm gonna be nice to the Aes Sedai here for a second. I actually think that the Aes Sedai knew about the kin, which they did. I mean, that's confirmed. But I think they knew about them from the beginning. And as soon as a collection of women started to get together and do things outside of the White Tower with women who could channel, I think the Aes Sedai went, we can't endorse that, but I like what's happening there. Let's let that keep happening and never shut it down, and even actually help them do what they're doing to a certain extent. Because again, we're too big and powerful and too up our own butts, which is where I'm going to not be nice to the Aes Sedai for a second, to actually bring them into the White Tower or have an offshoot of the White Tower where that's allowed. But since somebody already made it, we're happy to let that continue and even assist. And so I think that, to be fair, the Aes Sedai have actually tacitly been, kin retirement plan, kin burnout plan, kin runaway plan, like the whole fucking time. And really the only thing that's going to truly change is the kin don't have to be secret anymore, and the Aes Sedai can officially recognize them. Like but again, those are huge. Those are huge things. I'm not saying they aren't, but also like they're not everything. And so I really do think that the kinswomen were just a group of like-minded individuals who found each other and helped out. They are what the White Tower started as. They are the White Tower without limiting themselves. They are the White Tower without thousands of years of tradition that are bogging themselves down and suffocating their ability to do shit. I also think that there is a lot to be said in the fact that there's, a leadership difference there as well, which I think is also important, of what is important in terms of morality and principles and this, that, and the other thing as well. But I really do think that the kin are a lot of the best parts of what the Aes Sedai have lost.
Oh, I love that.
And that given enough time, they could absolutely become the White Tower, or they could become better. And I don't necessarily know, because the story stops when it does, what happens to the kin and whether they do become everything that they sought to fight against, or whether they become better. I do definitely think that it helps to have such an example to look at and say, we don't want to be that, so let's not be that. But at the same time, I don't know. There's a lot to be said about, you know, if the kin never actually were truly discovered and brought into the fold, whether they would just turn into the White Tower eventually. It's hard to say. But again, I think that the pattern had nothing to fucking do with it. The creator had nothing to do with it. People are threads in the pattern. And so technically, you know, the pattern wanted it. But I think it's just threads. I think it's threads helping threads. And they're just good people. And they grabbed each other and held on to each other. And it's this, you know, beautiful community-based thing. And that the kin really are just people helping people. And that's one of the reasons that I've always liked them, even though I still think that there are things they do that are problematic. I really, really appreciate people helping people, and that's what the kin is. Anyway.
Fair enough. I don't really think there's much more than I can that I could say.
I did
about
say
the kin.
a lot. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I think that's the kin is a less obvious example of the kind of not the kind of the central Wheel of Time theme of balance, that they provide or they could serve as a guide and a potential counterbalance to what is one of the more strict aspects of the White Tower. And it does seem like it's a group made of people that were like, hey, we saw how mom and dad did mom, I guess technically, did all of this stuff and how strict mom was and why. And we're going to do things a different way. But we also don't want mom to find out. But like always, mom always knows.
Mom knows. Don't lie to yourself. She knows.
Yeah. But they have the privilege of seeing how the White Tower is run and knowing the story of the White Tower for the past 3,000 years plus. Well, no, last 3,000 years, roughly. And it's really easy to sit on the outside of something and point a glaring finger at all the things that are wrong and then change those, or it's easier. Generally, it's very easy to point out what's wrong, and then it therefore becomes easier to construct your organization in a way that doesn't have these same pitfalls. Do they have pitfalls? Yeah, glaringly so, because the nature of humanity is imperfection. So
absolutely.
But I don't know. I like the kin. They were pretty cool. They were a neat addition to the story. They weren't one of my favorite additions, or, you know, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the kin and what the kin does and what the kin means. I mean, you know, it is what it is. To me, the kin is exactly what it presents itself at face value, which I think is fairly refreshing, because there's a lot of organizations in the Wheel of Time that aren't what they present themselves to be. The White Cloaks obviously aren't what they present themselves to be. The White Tower isn't what it presents itself to be. And you can go all the way down to the individual people. I mean,
just a lot of
IL are pretty much exactly what they present themselves to be. Just they don't know all of their own history. So
there is that,
which a lot of people in our own day and age are guilty of. You know, that's the importance of history. If you forget history, you're doomed to repeat it. So read history. And whenever shit starts looking fucking familiar, something's probably fucky.
Also, if
there's my life advice.
Read them.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
people that care about your children and human rights have never been the ones that ban books. Just remember that.
Oh, there it is. There it is, right there. Yeah. All right. Well, is that it? Is that your final thoughts on the kin?
plus a couple other things. Yeah.
I like it.
So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you everybody for watching. Hey, did we get something wrong? Leave it in the comments. Did we miss something that is inherently important to the kin that you think we needed to discuss? Leave it in the comments. Tell us that we missed it. You know what? We love doing this. We love having a great time with this. We love the Wheel of Time, as you probably also do. So after you're done listening to this episode, go to thegreatblight.com because they're awesome people as well. Go to blacktowerpod.com because you're going to need all of your Black Tower podcast goodness for JordanCon that's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to be amazing. You need to be there. We gonna be there. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And we hope that you're just a little bit more insane than you were when you first started this episode. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I have been Josh, your Sorovan Mahale.
And I have been Andrew, your Bajan Mahale.
And I have been Daniel, your Amin Khan Mahale. And again, we will all see you all next week. Thank you very much for being here. We love you. You're great. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain. You've been having so much trouble just fitting in.